Hey, everybody, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn. Super excited to be here. I am Dr. Dan Kalish. If this is the first one of these that you've done, welcome. If you've come back for a bunch of these, well, welcome back as well. We are today going to do a new topic, detox and GI protocol design. If you learn about detox and then you learn about GI, now we're trying to teach you how to put things together so you can see that for every functional medicine program, it's an integration across different body systems. You never treat one system in functional medicine, you're treating multiple systems. And I think it's best to learn them one at a time. You learn what the detox system is, how to treat it. You learn what the GI system is, how to treat it. But then when real patients come in with real problems, you have to learn how to integrate and treat these simultaneously. So I'll talk a little bit about the history behind this, and then I'll talk about my personal experience with it, okay? So my teacher, Dr. Timmons, in the 70s and 80s, ran a bunch of detox clinics. One was in West Virginia, one was in Mexico. And these are early adopted, naturopaths back in the day where detox was like becoming a thing for the first time. Took a while, right? After World War II, the world started to get really toxic. So that was like the 50s and 60s. And then by the 70s, people are getting really sick. Rachel Carson is writing her book, and Dr. Timmons is starting detox clinics because this was like a new health crisis that had swept through the land. It's gotten a lot better since then. That was a joke. No, it hasn't. It's gotten a lot worse. And so what they learned in those early years of running detox centers was that if they aggressively did the right thing and detox people right away to get out all those chemicals and heavy metals that are in their tissues, a lot of people got really sick, really sick. They got worse. And so they figured out over time that to successfully detox someone, which may be the most important thing that we can do for all of our patients, you have to get the gut working reasonably well first. In some cases, you can't do that, but in many cases, you can. So there's this sort of tug of war between gut programs and detox programs. In some cases, you have to start with detox. In some cases, you have to start with gut. And we want to try to work through that conceptually today a little bit. Now, I can show you some cases in a minute and on what sort of you can see on the labs that'll let you know, which direction you may want to go. And then, of course, it's always the patient feedback that really seals the deal. So if you go from the 70s and 80s when Timmons was doing these clinics to the present day, no, I'm joking about it, but it's not funny. When I started my practice in 1992, I would get visibly excited when I got a heavy metal case. I would be like, this is so cool. I still remember my first one. It was a guy named Brian. He was a voiceover actor in LA. And I was like, mercury toxicity. I figured out the reason why Brian is sick. He originally, as a young man, had been in the Navy and was a welder and worked on submarines in the naval shipyard. So he had massive heavy metal exposure as a young man. Now here he is, I don't know, in his 40s or 50s, um, sick as a dog because of mercury toxicity. Excited about that. Now, almost every test that we run has heavy metal toxicity. So in 30 years, since 1992, what was a random problem that you saw once in a while is now ubiquitous. So most of the people that you are working with have either heavy metals or chemicals in their tissues that are seriously impacting their health. And if you're not recognizing that, then you're missing something pretty big. Okay, and one of the major things that these metals and chemicals cause, in fact, I could ask that as a question. All right, you guys are going to type this in and we'll see if anybody gets it right. What's the number one thing that consistently heavy metal and chemical toxicity causes? What body system is damaged by them? Type in an answer, see if you can get it right. I'll give you a clue. It starts with an M. Type it in, see if you get it right. And then there's an I. It's mitochondria. So the mitochondria take the first hit from these environmental toxins that are in our tissues, right? And that causes a metabolic dysfunction, which makes you unable to lose weight, as well as being tired and your brain not working that great. Okay, so this is a really central problem. Detox as a step to getting it so you can heal the metabolism of the patient so they can lose weight and be healthy. Okay, and in order to detox successfully, what Timmons learned in the 70s and 80s is you got to have decent gut function first. That's going to be the main subject of what we talk about, all right? So now, and by the way, we'll just, give some credit here for uh, Laura, Kimberly, Jie, and Archana, who all got that right. They got the mitochondria thing. And they all within a few seconds of each other. So I'm not saying any one of you won that contest there, but you all got it right. Okay, so for you brand new to this, Kalish Institute, I created in 2006. We trained 7,000 practitioners in how to do all this stuff. I've worked with the Mayo Clinic. We've put our graduates into the Cleveland Clinic. I've been involved at the highest levels of functional medicine, and it's a great privilege to be in this field and to watch this field really grow. I've been doing this since 1992, which means I'm old. I'm like 60 years old now, and I'm loving it. I'm just seeing this new generation coming in, and we want to get this new generation trained. And so I've really devoted most of my time since 2006 to getting interested functional medicine practitioners trained properly on lab interpretation and patient communication skills so you can help a lot of people. Pretty straightforward life goal I have, and it's working. And how do we do that? We have classes that you can take. If you want to get into our GI protocol design class, bingo, just scan the QR code there. You need that special code to get lunch. It's called Lunch 24 because you have to lunch and learn. You get a 20% discount. And you can join that protocol class that's starting this week. If you really want to learn how to do this, just sign up for this class. It's not even that expensive. You get a discount, and I'll teach you how to do this stuff. We have live lab review sessions where you submit your own lab tests, to results, and we'll review them with a group. And there's a whole curriculum that I built out so you can learn how to interpret these tests. If you're really serious about wanting to do functional medicine and you want to make this your practice, then we have our mentorship, which is starting in June, and we don't do these very often. The big group starting in June, we've got a discount of $1,200 off on that if you scan that QR code. And I think we're like a week out from this starting. And seriously, if you want to spend a year learning how to interpret labs and really all the patient communication skills so you can be the best possible person at lab interpretation, which is to me the heart of functional medicine, along with the communication skills. And we teach them both in this class. And the mentorship group, I don't even know what to say about these people. At the end of the year, they really know what they're doing. This class works. I've been at this for a while, and we just have, at the end of the year, students understand how these labs work and how to interpret them. And if you don't take the time, you don't take a year to focus on this, you're just going to be crappy at interpreting labs. And that is not okay. And I see most of the functional medicine practices out there, these new ones, they don't know how to interpret the labs. That's not okay. So if you're in that category, sign up for this class, okay? It's a little bit expensive, but you'll pay for it within the first 3 or 4 patients that you do a workup on. And at the end of the year, you'll have this skill set for the rest of your career, okay? And anyways, you get a discount too. If you like discounts, sign up for it. It's starting next week. And we don't do these very often. This is a precious chance. If you want to do it now, because I'm not getting any younger, as they say, right? All right. And then if you're new to this whole industry and you haven't heard about Rupa yet, then you should scan this and set up a Rupa account. This is like a no-brainer. They have a collection of all the different lab companies in one place, and it's just an easier way to order labs, right? So check them out. You get $100 off of Rupa with that. All right. So let's take a look at what we're talking about here. And I'm gonna jump into lab tests. Well, let's just do the labs right away. Why wait? So I'm just going to pose this as a question here for you so you can see. Sorry, let me get rid of these ones here. I've got a bunch of, these are from the earlier mentorship classes. Oh, and I want to mention this too, because a lot of people don't know about this. This is a must-buy thing. Richard Lord's Handbook of Human Nutrient Assessments. So take a snapshot of that with your phone. It's $40. You can Google it and buy it from iBooks or Google Books or whatever. It's $39, and it's the definitive guide to all the nutrient prescribing that you're going to want to do. And so here it teaches you about amino acids, fatty acids, organic acids, all these different things. And it's just full of charts. This is not a book that you read. This is just, you're buying this so you can get these charts here that'll tell you when you see a given lab value, how much of whatever do you prescribe? So like B6, how much B6 do you give somebody? I don't know, 50 to 200 milligrams. That's the therapeutic range. If you have a lab that shows thiamine is low, how much thiamine do you give? 50 to 300 milligrams. So it's essential to have this book. And he goes through everything you can imagine, the amino acids, fatty acids, all the prescribing in here. So this is the kind of thing you just leave on your desk, on your desktop these days, I guess, because this is a computer book. It's like an iBook. And it has everything you need on every nutrient in it, okay? So again, this just came up in class this morning, so I'll just mention it for you guys. Richard Lord, who's my main teacher, Handbook of Human Nutrient Assessments. It's 40 bucks. All right, but that's not why we're here. We're here to do lab review. So let me go back over here. Whoops, sorry. And find these other tests here. There we go. Okay, so this is a test that just came into class this morning. One of our doctors, Rachel, submitted it. And this is a cool case. So this is a GI map, if you're not familiar with this, GI map from Diagnostic Solutions. We can see they are ordered by Rupa Health. Everybody uses Rupa. Okay? And this is what a healthy microbiome looks like. Commensal bacteria, see all these laid out? Okay, there's one that's low, Akkermansia. The rest of these are in the mid-range or high. This is a healthy microbiome. And you don't see these very often, so I want to point this out. This patient, this was just from the previous hour's class, this hot off the presses. This patient, guess what? Has her own small organic farm. That's her business, and she sells stuff. And guess what? She eats what she grows. This is the microbiome of somebody who eats healthy food every day and runs their own organic farm and has done for a very long time. This is where you want to get your patients to. And this is not an easy thing to achieve, okay? Not by any means. Now let's find a more typical microbiome. Again, a GI map. Yeah, here's one. This is what all of your patients look like. You see, it's the same thing. It's a GI map. You see all these low bacteria. That's a microbiome that's been wiped out. You need a healthy microbiome in order to detoxify. And if you try to detox somebody who's got a screwed up microbiome like this, they're going to potentially get more sick. That's a big deal. So healthy microbiome. Oops, where'd it go? I had it up here. Yeah, here we go. This is our organic farmer from the, and by the way, this is from the mentorship students. If you were in the mentorship program right now, you would have been on this call and you would have heard all these things about how we're going to treat this person, all this stuff. Okay, that's what we do in the mentorship, hour after hour after hour of lab review. Plus, I have a whole curriculum I've built for you guys to study. So you do an online couple hours a week of studying for the lectures. You come to class with your own labs. We have like I think 3 or 4 hours a week of lab review sessions that you can attend and listen to, and you submit your cases, and by the end of the year, you've just got this down because you see so many cases. Healthy microbiome. So this is where you want to get the person before you detox them like this, and if they're really screwed up like this, and you detox them, that's going to make them worse. So number one rule is do the GI assessment first. If the GI is really screwed up, spend a few months making it better. You don't have to make it perfect, just make it better. And then you can start the detox, because part of the exit route for detoxification, one of the exit routes is urine. So they have to be hydrated. So they're peeing out toxins, right? Sweat. So you want to make sure they're sweating on a regular basis with a sauna. Okay, I guess you could do hot baths, but I think saunas are better. And then toxins are going to come out through the stool. So if their gut is really screwed up and their microbiome screwed up, you're not going to have that exit route adequately up and running, and then you're going to get all these toxins freed up from their tissues, and they're going to have nowhere to go, and then the good person's going to get worse. So what you don't want to do is get a toxin out of storage and have it have no way to get out of your tissues. That is a bad thing, okay? So let's see. I've got a few of these others here. Where'd it go? I know I've got too many folders open here. Let me see. Here we go. All right, now we're changing labs. Now we're over to the detox side. This is a metabolomics from Genova. It's a great test. It's a urine sample only. You don't need any blood work. It's not that expensive, and it gives you all the detox information that you could ever need, okay? So let's take a look first. at a protocol, and then we'll come back and look at the markers. Now, we don't have time, obviously, to go over this whole test because it's like 12 or 15 pages long, but we're going to hone in on the detox section. And I'm going to show you a magic trick, you might call it, a magic trick, and then a fundamental kind of thing you're just supposed to know. All right, so now let's do the magic trick part first. So there's two markers on here that are under the dysbiosis section. See that? Dysbiosis markers. And they are benzoic acid and hippuric acid. And they're very innocently sitting under dysbiosis. However, this is a big however, you can also use these to get an insight into the detoxification capacity that's specifically related to a nutrient called glycine. I didn't know what I'm about to tell you until I'd been in practice for over 20 years. I wish someone had told me this like in 1992. It would have come in handy. It's not written down anywhere. Well, it's in Richard's book. If you buy his book, it's in there, but it's not written down. You don't hear conferences about this. And so this is sort of just slipped away from our consciousness. But when benzoic acid is high, your liver converts it into hippuric acid. So high benzoic acid is bad, but your liver's like, okay, I got this. I'm going to break that stuff down into hippuric acid, and then we're going to dump it out. If benzoic acid goes high, which is a sign of dysbiosis, and hippuric acid is not also elevated, then that's a glycine deficiency because glycine is responsible for running the pathway that converts benzoic into hippuric. So if you see a pattern where there's extremely high benzoic and hippuric is not commensurately high, that's a glycine deficiency, one of the very important detox pathways. It's a great way to find out about detox capacity. That's your little magic trick now. Where did I learn this? Richard Lord. Who is Richard Lord, for those of you that don't know? Back in 1970, he started, well, 1960s, he got his PhD in proteins. He was a protein folding guy. And then in the 70s, he started working in the functional medicine lab arena. By the 80s, he was developing these labs. So he's the scientist that first did amino acid testing, fatty acid testing. He developed all the organic acids tests that all the different lab companies use now, as well as all the nutrient markers. Okay, and back in the 80s, he worked at a lab called Metametrics, which is gone now. It was bought by Genova. And he would develop a whole new set of panels, and then everyone in the industry would copy him. But he's still alive. I just talked to him on Thursday. He's still kicking, still like, he's been retired for like 20 years now. But he trained me over the last 12, 13 years in sort of an in-depth understanding of how these labs really work. And so it's all in his various books. I'm not making any of this stuff up. You want to research it on your own. You can read about it and see all the original studies. But I've had the great good fortune of working with Richard now for a dozen years and just learned a lot about these tests. And he trained me specifically during his retirement years so that I would go out and teach other doctors, which is what we're doing right now for free. Okay, so that's an important one. And so I always look at that. Just never forget to look at that. And then we can go down to the actual detox section here. And the markers here to be aware of, they're super important, are pyroglutamic acid. If that's either low, as it is in this case, or high, then that's a glutathione deficiency, a glutathione problem. Okay. And then there's another glutathione indicator on this test. All right, so I'm going to throw out another quiz question, see if anyone gets this one right. Where or what is the other, and I'm going to put it on the screen so you can see it here. No one's going to get this. Anyone, the only person, let's see if anyone gets this one. There's another glutathione indicator that's on this lab, and in this particular patient, it is sky high. And again, it's a secret code kind of thing. It's not under the detox section, but it's a detox marker. You're staring at it right now. And you're missing out. Probably the most important marker on this particular lab is not indicated. You don't know. No, that was a good guess. Pyruvic acid. Yeah, Archana got it. Cheryl got it. Yes, so there's three of you. Kimberly got it. Oh man, okay, Dan got it. It's right here. Think now for those of you that didn't get it, I'm going to circle it. That. See that? I'm circling like crazy. That. It's hidden in the carbohydrate metabolism section. I'm against that. If I had been at the committee meeting when they were like, where the heck are we going to put alpha hydroxybutyric acid? I would have been like, it belongs right next to pyroglutamic. Put it there. Okay, but then what would have happened? Someone else would have said, well, I don't know. It's an insulin resistance marker. Let's put it under carb metabolism. And I would have gone, but yeah, I know it's that, but it's more important as a glutathione marker. And what this makes you realize is that glutathione problems or oxidative stress and insulin resistance are the same thing. Okay, so you have to decide when you're running a lab where we're going to put the marker. But if you don't know these little tricks, you're going to just completely screw up these tests. Okay, so alpha hydroxybutyric acid, yes, it's related to insulin function, but in my mind, it's 1,000 times more important as an indicator for glutathione. Okay, super more important for that. And look how high this one is. The cutoff is 0.8. This person's at 44. This is a massive glutathione deficiency just staring at you. If you don't know how to read these things, then, good luck. Okay, so let's review quickly. 3 markers that you're learning today to figure this out. This is the whole detox thing. Benzoic acid high, hippuric not. Glycine. Pyroglutamic, high or low. Glutathione. But you're going to use N-acetylcysteine to treat it. Okay, pyroglutamic, high or low. Glutathione problem, you're going to use NAC to treat it. And now we just learned alpha hydroxybutyric. It's hidden in the carb section because it's related to insulin. But in my mind, it's much more important. In my mind, I mean Richard Lord's mind, it's much more important as a detox indicator for glutathione deficiencies. Okay, so now let's look at a few. Let's look at a few things here. Hang on one second. Let's start with this. And then we're going to design programs. So detox pathways, it's kind of everything you need to know right here. We already talked about glycine. There's glycine. We talked about glutathione. There's glutathione. There's a bunch of other pathways, sulfation, glucuronidation, all this kind of stuff. You don't need to memorize all that necessarily. But you should know that it's phase 2 detoxification related to these pathways. Phase 1 is related to antioxidants and B vitamins. So if you're going to do a successful detox program, you have B vitamins, antioxidants, and phase 2 support in different combinations depending on what the labs show. So B vitamins, antioxidants, and phase 2 support in a reasonably healthy functioning gut. That's kind of what we're shooting for. There's so much else to talk about here, but I just mentioned one other thing and then, no, oh my gosh, yeah. I just got to say this, but this will take like 1 minute. So you should also be on the lookout for urea cycle defects. This is a sort of, again, like a secret set of markers that no one really knows how to interpret. So if you're having a urea cycle problem, you're going to have a buildup of ammonia. And we all learned this in school. This is a genetic defect in newborn babies, urea cycle defects. Yep. But it happens in adults as well. And you're going to see very clearly on the lab testing that this marker called orotate or orotic acid is going to be either high or low. And that's going to show that there's a potential ammonia buildup in the body. Talk about toxins. Ammonia, now this is not an external toxin that's coming from the environment. This is an internal toxin that's coming from the breaking down of protein. So you eat protein, you break it down. Part of that process generates ammonia, and your body gets rid of the ammonia. Some people don't get rid of that ammonia very well, and so it makes them very sick. They have brain fog and neurological problems and a screwed up urea cycle. Okay, so the orotic acid or orotate going high or low is an indication that there's a problem with the urea cycle. I had this thing about the urea cycle. No one ever talks about it. I don't know why. It's kind of important. And this, I'll show you on the lab where to go here. Just got to get the right one. Here it is. And by the way, this is the metabolomics from Genova. I'll show you some other example labs too. Orotic acid, see down there? If that's either high or low, there's a problem that you want to start to think about. Okay, so now let's do a little program design with our person here. Let's see. I pulled up a whole bunch of these. Yeah, here we go. I know that's an old one from class. Hang on a second, I got it up here. All right. And here. Okay, so we're going to now design a program for all this stuff. And what are we thinking about? Well, we looked at 3 different ways you can find glutathione markers. And again, that's a simple way of looking at detoxification capacity. There's many, many ways you can look at detox capacity, but that's just a simple, quick glance assessment. And I showed you the benzoate hyperate way, the alpha hydroxybutyric acid way, and the pyroglutamic. So now you've got like at least 3 ways to assess that. How's the liver working? There's many, many others, but you got to start somewhere. So those are like 3, maybe we'd say primary ways to do it. And let me just show you here. For most of us, I think pretty visual. Once you see this, here we go. It'll stick in your brain, hopefully. So here's our pyroglutamic acid here. You see that? So if that marker is high or low, your glutathione's getting screwed up. Here's our alpha hydroxybutyric acid over here. Remember, if that marker is high, mostly if it's high, sometimes it's low, but let's say if it's high, then you've got a glutathione synthesis problem. If pyroglutamic is out, you've got a glutathione wasting problem. And it's confusing because this marker here, the alpha hydroxybutyric, is also related to insulin resistance. So it's in my mind, the wrong section of the test. And if you don't know that it's a marker for insulin resistance and for glutathione, then you're not going to be able to help your patients. And the patient that we just looked at, extremely high here. So this person has a huge problem with glutathione, huge. And then we're going to treat it. Okay, so let's go. And I showed you that also that example of the gut test where there's a problem with the gut bacteria. So we had dysbiosis. I didn't show you that whole thing, but I guess I better show you. Yeah, a second. This was more to just talk about commensals, but here we have on the GI map, dysbiosis. You see the dysbiosis markers, Morganella, Streptococcus. And that's all we need to know. This person has dysbiosis, okay? Low commensals and overgrowth of these harmful ones. So now we look at the program. We have dysbiosis, and we'll just say with low commensals. And then we had low glutathione, which means i.e. poor detox. That's probably enough right there just to deal with. So now you're going to want to run, and let's say the first, let me give you the sequence here. So first 2 months, clear GI issue, then start detox. You just don't want to do the detox when the gut is really screwed up because they're not going to be able to, they'll be less able to get rid of the environmental toxins that you're flushing out. And they'll reabsorb them and you'll free them up from storage sites and then they'll just recirculate and the person will get worse. So you don't want to do that. So dysbiosis protocol, I have my favorite ways of doing this, but you guys can do it however you want. I'll just write it down. I use this stuff called AC Formula 2 from Pure. And then you can't go wrong with grapefruit seed extract. Like this just works for everything. Let's say one of those. So you do that for a couple months. This is your dysbiosis treatment. And I'm kind of skimming over this and doing it quickly. There's a lot of other details you'd want to do, but 2 months to get rid of the dysbiosis. And then you want to get into the detox. So we go down here and say, okay, so this person had, we're going to use NAC, get it in a 900 milligram. And one of those 3 times a day. And this is the detox portion, right? This is after the gut's working a little better. And how long is this program? At least 6 months. Not going to get anything done in less than 6 months. And then remember they need a glycine. How cool is that? We learned that. It's 500 milligrams of that. It usually comes in a pill. And let's say you give like that. And then what are the other things that you have to have in every detox program? B complex. Remember phase 1, you gotta have B complex. And you have some extra antioxidants. So I don't know, do you have a favorite antioxidant? What would I do? Let's see. I would probably do a broad spectrum. I would do detox antiox. Why? Because it's easy to remember the name. That's from Designs for Health. I mean, geez Louise, you could just use vitamin C if you want. If you don't want to be all fancy about it. Okay, you can just use vitamin C. Either way, Detox Antiox is a good product though. I'll show you that one. I'm just gonna say, you know, if you were in the mentorship class, you'd be doing this like 3 or 4 hours every week. You'd be learning and learning, getting good at this. It takes a little while for doctors to put it all together. Here we go. So this is obviously it was designed to help with detox, but it's an antioxidant. So this is perfect for what we need, you know? And what's in it? Well, it's typical stuff that you expect, you know? Okay. So that one's good. NAC, I like to use NAC in the 900 milligram form because it's just less pills for people to take than the 500s. Here you go. See, Pure has it, 900. That's great. One pill, 900 milligrams. You don't have to take that many pills. That's just much more convenient for people. There's another one that, you know, you should know about. This is a really good product. Amino Detox from Designs. Now, I just want to show you like how this works. So if you do 6 a day of this one, it's pretty hefty, but it works really well. And look what's in it. Glutathione, glutamine, glycine. You see all these listed here? Now let's go back to our liver list here. You can see how these supplements are engineered in the first place. That is glycine, taurine, glutamine, ornithine, arginine. You see that? All the nutrients that you need to run phase 2, the glutathione, they're all crammed in the pill. So that's a phase 2 detoxer. So what else do you need? You need phase 1 support. That's B vitamins and antioxidants. And look at the antioxidants for detox here. A, C, E, selenium, manganese, ... And then when you look at the product, like the Detox Antiox, that's exactly what they put in it. So it's not like an accident. They got this all planned out for you. There's your phase 2 product. Let's see, Detox Antiox. And then here's your phase 1 product, basically. See all that? That's exactly what we just saw in the phase 1 stuff. Grapeseed, green tea, turmeric, all that. So you just have to take those two and integrate them. So detox, antiox. I'll show you a different way you could do this. If you didn't want to get, this complicated, you could also do, you could take out the NAC and you could do the amino detox. I do this a lot because it's easier for patients. It's only one product to take. So that gets out, that gets out. I'm just adjusting it so you can see the variety here. So this is phase 2 support. Here's phase 1. And here's our kind of phase 1 antioxidant stuff. And this is exactly, not similar to, but this is exactly this diagram. Those 3 nutrients taken together cover everything on this diagram. All the B's are right here. There's our antioxidants, and then here's our phase 2 support. Do you see that? B vitamins, antioxidants, phase 2. You're covering this whole thing here. The only thing, the only thing you might want to add is some fiber, either by having them eat a high fiber diet or have them take some kind of fiber so they get better quickly. All right, now I'm going to, for those of you that joined us late, remind you what the heck we're doing here and what's happening, and then I'll open it up for questions. So type in your questions while you're waiting here. We have several classes coming up if you want to learn how to decode the microbiome and interpret GI testing. So these classes include you submitting your labs for us to review in class, as well as a whole curriculum that I've built for you. You get 20% discount on that class. It's starting tomorrow. So if you want to take it, sign up today. Okay. And then our mentorship starts next week. This is going to be a really good group. We're putting a lot of energy into this group, so we want you to sign up for this class. This is for those of you that want to spend hours and hours every week learning how to be the best lab interpretation and patient communication person you can be. The mentorship graduates from our courses end up in the best jobs in the industry. People know my reputation has been around for 20 years now. People know I train someone for a year, they know what they're doing. You know, it's very, very, very successful, and it's a wonderful thing to watch practitioners just blossom in this year. And if you don't spend a year, you don't have to take the class with me, but if you don't spend a year with somebody hammering at you about how to do labs and how to deal with patients, then you're not going to be very good at this. And then we have a crisis right now of not very good functional medicine practitioners that don't know how to interpret labs. And I'm trying to change that. It's one of my main goals for the next few years. Okay. And you can order from Rupa if you haven't figured out Rupa yet, you know, get on it and figure that out. Okay, so let's go to questions here for a minute. And let's see what we got. Oh gosh, I just nuked the question button. Where'd that go? That's not good. Hang on a second. Oh, there it is. All right, let me see. And I'm not going to be able to get to all these because there's a lot of them, but I'm going to try to pick out the ones that are kind of relevant. Oh, for the mentorship, we take all kinds of different practitioners. So medical doctors, nurse practitioners, DOs, chiropractors, get a lot of acupuncturists, even a few health coaches if you're really into it. Okay. Juicing for detox, Ed asked, is one of the classic and best ways to do it. Vegetable juices. Vegetable juices and saunas and fiber are kind of, you know, detox central. And sauna is really profound. You know, if you don't have, you should just buy an infrared sauna for your clinic or for yourself. I use the company called High Tech. Um, they're the original one, you know, from a million years ago. They're not particularly cheap, but they're not particularly expensive either. Uh, I think you get a discount. If you tell them I sent you, I think you get a discount still. I haven't talked to these guys in a while, but High Tech Health, I just bought the cheapest, smallest one. It's like a one-person thing. I don't want to like detox with someone else in the sauna. That's like creepy and weird. It's like detox time. It's not like time to like chat with people. Okay, so when you're doing a detox, you pick up one of these. They're like 3 or 4 grand. I use mine almost every day. I was in it this morning for like 35 minutes, so that's pretty important. And you can. Some people have them in their clinics too. That seems a little strange to me, but you could do that, or just encourage your patients to buy them if they really want to detox. It's just part of survival in modern life now, I think, to do that. Um, If you're doing muscle testing, then yeah, I was originally a muscle tester as well, and then turned into doing this stuff. So you have to do that. Um, if benzoic and hippuric are both high, then that's not a glycine problem. That's a dysbiosis problem. And if they're both low, it's not a glycine problem. So it's only that one pattern that I showed you. The nutrient biomarker book by Richard, that is so there's 2 books that I mentioned. One is the handbook for human nutrients. Let me show you that one. I think I should have it here. No. But yeah, here it is. Oh, no, there. So there's 2 books that you should get from Richard. One is Laboratory Guides to Health. This is a 1,400-page book with 4,000 scientific citations in it by the master of functional medicine lab development. It's $300. You'll have it the rest of your career. Everyone has bought this book who's been around for a long time. Let me just say again, it's a 1,400-page book. This is not something that you sit down and read. This is like an encyclopedia of everything you need to know about labs. and Lab Guides to Health. Just Google the title here. And then the companion book, the one that's just like the thing you flip through to look up stuff, that's this one, Handbook of Human Nutrient Assessments. Okay, so those are the two books you just need to have in order to do all this stuff. Let's see, I'm going through questions. So if any supplement makes you feel bad, like Julie's saying, hey, Antiox Detox gave you insomnia, any supplement that triggers a reaction like that means something's going on. You should be able to, you should want to investigate. If in general, the general rule of thumb though is that if a phase 1 nutrient makes the person worse, let me think about it. If a phase 1 nutrient makes a person worse, it means phase 2 is not working. Should I say that again? If a phase 1 nutrient, what's that? B vitamins and antioxidants. If a phase 1 nutrient makes a person worse, it means that phase 2 is not working right. They call that pathological detoxification. I think Jeffrey Bland coined that term. So in other words, you got a toxin over here. You break it down in phase 1, and phase 2 is not working right. Guess what? It doesn't get out of your body. It starts to, here, they even have it on here. It starts to make things worse. Okay? Starts to make things worse. You don't want that. So the way around that is to always start every patient with phase 2 first, and then you'll never have that problem. Let me say that again. Always start every patient with phase 2 support first, then back your way into phase 1. If their phase 2 is not working well and you upload phase 1, they're going to get worse, and it's not what we want to do. So I'm glad that came out. Thank you, Julie, for asking that. Total NAC for the day around 3,000. Yeah, let's see. A diet high in protein should not cause a buildup of ammonia, but it can if you're genetically susceptible to that, Let's see here. More about the June 5th course. So thank you for asking that, Ala. What to expect? Well, let's look at it. Yeah, a second. I teach so many classes now, it's hard for me to even keep track of what's going on. Here, this is what's happening now. So you go to the website and you click on GI protocol design. Here's the course description. So basically, what I'm trying to do in this class, and what is it? It's like a couple month class, we're trying to get it so you see a model and a structure for how to interpret these GI tests. So I break it down to 3 different phases that you need to learn for any GI lab panel, and then teach you what each of those stages or phases is and how to identify them based on the test, and then what protocols go with that. So my courses are protocol driven. Like, here's the lab, here's what it says, here's the protocol. Here's a different lab, here's what that one says, here's a protocol. So at the end of a couple of months, you're like, oh, I got this. Here's a lab, here's what Kalish said to do, here's a protocol. And I didn't make any of this stuff up. This is not like my protocols. I mean, these are like classic naturopathic things. A lot of these herbs have been around for like 1,000 years. There's nothing special about me. I just have put it together in a curriculum. And what doctors get frustrated about is they don't know which product from which company. So I'll tell you, just get this one from Pure, get that one from Designs, get that one from Ortho. How many a day? 9 a day, 6 a day, whatever. So it's very practical, hands-on. And there's a whole curriculum. So you're learning each week a little bit from the videos online. And then we're talking, I don't know, you can see here, here's the live calls. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 live calls where everyone's presenting their labs and we're going over them. So that's the basic structure of these shorter classes. The mentorship is like that, but it's a year long. So it's very similar concept, but a year-long version of that. And there's multiple labs and you're integrating multiple labs across things, okay? And let's see, this one is, let's see what happens if we actually haven't done this. Oh, look at that, there's the pricing right there. So you can do 2 payments of $750 or a single payment of $14.99. And if you click enroll now, you can just enroll now and enroll today or tomorrow because we're starting tomorrow. Okay, let's see. One more question here, then we're going to wrap it up. Um, oh, when the orotate is high or low, which urea cycles products do you use? I use arginine most of the time. Some people like to use citrulline or ornithine, but you can use any of them. I think arginine's the easiest. So arginine would be around 3,000 a day to get that cycle going, along with some B vitamins. Um, let's see. Let's see here. Other questions? Yeah, arginine. So you have to know your clinical nutrition. Okay. So now I'm gonna mention this other thing. You can't just give somebody arginine without like figuring out what you're doing. So where'd it go? I had it listed here specifically for this point. So there's a website, and if you type in to your Google search Linus Pauling Institute, just type in Linus Pauling Institute. This will pop right up. And there's the Linus Pauling Institute. How handy is that? It's all free. They got the best information, the best science you could imagine. Just click there. And then you're wondering, I think I might use arginine. You got to study about it. You can't just give it to somebody. You got to, spend a few hours or a few days studying about it. Type it in there and look at what they have here, and you can read all about arginine. Okay, arginine use. Let's say, and this is all also in Richard's book. Because if they have a lysine problem, you can get into trouble, and there's a whole bunch of variety on that. But Oregon State University's Linus Pauling Institute is really great, a resource for nutritional help. Okay. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for now. Thank you guys for attending. I hope to see some of you in our courses. Final reminder, we got our mentorship class that's starting next week. This is a big deal. This is a really big one. It's going to be a good group for a whole variety of secret reasons I can't tell you right now. This is kind of an extra special mentorship. Not that they're all not special, but there's some extra special things that are going to happen to this group. So if you're interested in really learning how to interpret labs, sign up for that. If you're interested in just like, I don't know, I want to just check things out, then you can join us for the GI class that starts later this week. All right, take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.